welcome back to the second episode of the Restoration series. Today we jump straight into a little overview of all the parts we painted in the last episode before we jump straight into the very satisfying process of unmasking it, which I fairly enjoy, the unmasking process. I don't particularly like the painting part, but I do enjoy taking off the masking tape and seeing the result of the painting. Some of you might be wondering why I'm not replacing these rubber pegs for your feet, and the reason is that I didn't actually know if I could get any good replacement for them when I got to painting. Of course, now in later time, in hindsight, I have found a website that makes these rubber parts and I can replace them, but at the time I didn't know if I actually could get any good or correct replacement, so it seemed the better option to just keep them on. And now I will be looking at replacing them, so this job was maybe unnecessary.
So I've gotten some of the masking tape off the pegs and some of the parts that I didn't want to get painted because of bearings and stuff from the front forks. It is supposed to be a bearing, that ball bearing that sits in here, and when I disassembled it initially, there was no paint there, it was just some rust metal. So I guess that it's not supposed to have any primer or paint there, it's just supposed to have a bit of oil or grease or something to keep it spinning freely around. Or that I noticed is that the back frame or forks, or whatever you call it, for back wheel is not actually connected to the front frame. It's not like a bicycle where everything is connected and welded together. This is its separate entity of the frame, and it doesn't make sense to me because there's no suspension from these back parts to the front frame. There's no like hinge or anything where it moves up and down. It's actually solidly bolted up here and down here. So I actually don't understand why it is, but maybe some clever people tell me why.
Maybe as the most observant of you have noticed or know, this is one of the brake pedals, and it's supposed to have a spring that makes it return to its original position. And yeah, it's supposed to sit there. And I forgot to put it on, so yeah, let's disassemble it again.
have gotten a lot of the masking tape off some of the parts, and this is one of the pieces that goes inside the front fork thing, where it's connected through front forks, and it has some of these old ball bearings that sit on the bottom, on the top to, of course, make it move freely. And when I initially took this apart, this part, minus the thread, was painted black. And the same type of black that the rest of the bike initially was. So I thought, yeah, okay, it's painted. It needs to be painted. This part, as I remember, is supposed to sit on top of here to keep it from going anywhere. It doesn't fit. I painted it too thickly. It slides down to about here. You see, I try to knock it down, but now it doesn't fit properly. So we'll see what I'll do.
So, I was just being a bit stupid because the part is not supposed to go all the way down, it's supposed to sit there where I just mounted it, and I was looking at the wrong part because I thought it was the part going on the bottom, but of course the bearing place for that, where it's hauled in, is actually built into the frame. And you see me trying to mount the steering here, the paint made it too thick and I couldn't actually get it to fit down, so I was just taking off the paint again. And of course, not everything goes as planned, always.
Okay, so I have these parts left to put together. These are just the springs and the arms to hold the front forks, because the front forks are independent of those, of course, as springs do. Some of the parts have to figure out what goes back together again, because even though it's supposed to be the same, it doesn't fit over or crossover. So yeah, so got to get those parts together, and I have connected some of these parts to be easier to connect the front forks. I haven't tightened anything yet, just loosely on until I get the forks assembled and actually get to put them on, which will make it look like a motorcycle more than just whatever this is. I've just done something stupid. I'm too far ahead of myself because I assembled the whole way so we can see move. I put on the steering and everything for it. Then I realized as I was assembling the front forks that I needed this part from the forks to be able to connect this, because this little hole here is the receiver of the spring, which sits in between here and back here. Because I was scratching my head trying to figure out how did this go together again, and I couldn't figure out where does the spring connect to again. But of course I was missing that piece because the spring is supposed to go between those pieces. So yeah, don't use me as a tutorial because I don't know what I'm doing. And my only tip I have for people doing this is take a lot of reference pictures before you disassemble it, because
Then you can do like me, go back, look at the pictures, and like, okay, that's what's wrong with it. It was supposed to have that thing. So yeah.
Well, good morning, or at least new morning for me. As you might see, I got the forks assembled again. I did do a nice time lapse of it, nice angle. Didn't get any of it, phone died, and that footage is lost. And that spring was a pain in my to get on, so I'm not going to take it off again to film it. So yeah, we'll have a close up and we'll see.
This is what I did last night. I don't know how far you saw last night, but essentially what I did is I connected the spring to the upper mount and the rear mount on the like forks for the front wheel. And the forks are just connected with these like arms which holds it, and the spring keeps it tensioned. There's no shock absorber on this, which I guess was normal for the 1930s. There's a bunch of these old grease nipples, which I tried to take off with plumber's ratchet or something to just try to grip them, because there's no way to connect key or something to get it off. So yeah, we'll see what I'll do with this. But yeah, these bolts, which are inside here, was a pain to get in, because you have to bend the spring and get them in there to tighten them. So yeah, and the spring is black just because I wanted to change the color. As I was setting up for a new shot, I got a little visit from my father's dog. My father was further up the workshop working on a boat, and of course, his dog was deprived of any attention. So, yeah, I got to feel the burden of that. So, you might have noticed by now that a lot of what I do is just trial and error and try to figure out what I'm doing, because this is brand new for me and I have never done anything like it before, and that makes it so that I do a lot of mistakes along the way and just trial and error, try to do anything. But it just shows that anyone can take on a project like this if you have the right mindset, because I'm no mechanic and I just try to figure it out as I go.
So now it's starting to look like a motorcycle, a proper motorcycle, I believe. But now we just need the rest of the things.
So that's it for this episode. I'm still looking high and low for an engine for this bike because it's very hard to come by, and I have asked museums, collectors, anything. So I'm reaching the limit where I can't actually do much more on the motorcycle. Of course, I can finish the fuel tank and have a bit more accessories and the wheels to work on, but I'm starting to reach the limit where I can't actually do much more before I get the engine. So I will try to get one, but we'll see how this goes. But if you watched this far, thank you for watching, and like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me, and I hope I see you in the next video. Bye bye.